Hi, it's Elisa, Bluebird Relics. I am going to finish up the piece that I started on Sunday on the live. I'm actually already almost done. I'm just going to put the final coat on here and seal it. So I finished. Let me see if I can raise this up so that you can see the top of the piece. I'll move it a little closer. All right. So I finished up the flower, all the lily pads, and the water, and I sealed it actually so that I actually sealed it with a coat of I think I used Big Top. Yeah, I did. I used Big Top, so clear water-based top coat, and it deepened the color of a lot of it. I think it really came out kind of nice. And now I'm going to seal it with furniture wax. It may change the color a little bit, but then when it dries, it's gonna be all this color. Making sure I think everybody anyway. I thought I would just pop on and do it live. Hi, boo. What? Boo meaning I'm your boo, or boo I finished. Or boo I didn't mention it. All right, hang on. I'm going to lower it because I'm going to start down lower. Oh, boo, you scared me. Oh, that kind of boo. I didn't know if you were like boo I'm done, or boo like I'm your boo. Anyway, so I never really go on video doing this part. But anyway, so once I seal the top and everything, I personally like to put furniture wax on it, and then you let it dry, and then you buff it, and it kind of gives it that. I love touching it afterward. It feels nice, and just gives it like an older vintage feel. I just like the way the furniture feels after you've been waxing it. So I got a nice little coat of wax. I'm just going to start. I go in circular motions. The only thing about this wax is since I put the top coat on, normally you can see the wax deepening the color. So you kind of can tell where you've already put the wax. But in this case, some of my bristles are falling off. I can't see because I put the sealer over it. Anyway, just kind of put it on and nice swirly motion. Let it dry. And then I'll take this guy after he's dry and I'll buff it to a nice shine. It won't shine. It won't be high sheen, but it'll be a nice matte sheen. Shiny, a little shiny. I'm a little upset that I'm losing some of my bristles off here. I've used it so many times you'd think, what kind of brush? You may have said, actually, I'm using a brush specifically for putting on furniture wax. So it's a waxing brush. So they come in different sizes. I'm using a big one here because I got, a lot of space to cover. And you don't want to put it on really thick. You just want to put a very thin coat. Just make sure if you do get some stray bristles. I don't know why this one is losing bristles. Doesn't usually. That you remove them before the wax dries. And this wax I actually really like this wax. It's the DIY wax. It's so soft. Goes on like butter. It feels like butter. I'm getting upset that I'm losing the bristles are falling out. Goodness gracious, the bristles are just coming. That normally doesn't happen. I don't know why it's happening today. You know what? It could be because I don't normally clean the wax brush. I think you're supposed to. I never do. I never had a problem. It gets hard. I try to rub out as much of the wax to kind of get as much wax out of the brush as possible after I'm done waxing something. But the wax, it will harden in the brush, but I never usually. Maybe that's why I'm losing. No, just you can use a regular dust cloth. I never I guess you could use Pledge. I don't actually know. I should look that up. I think a light dusting is fine. This isn't something that you're going to want to shine up anyway. You could, after you've had it for a few years, you could, if you wanted to buff it up and shine it up, you could re-wax it. And it'll offer protection for the piece. And I've suggested that to other people who have bought some of my pieces. I give them the name of the wax that I used and tell them where they can buy it. And I like to try to promote the smaller businesses. So when I give out the name of someone who sells this particular wax, I'll usually try to give them the name of, like, I'll usually refer like Kelly Weiler. I'll send them her link so that they can buy a little small thing of wax. But it's not necessary to do it all the time. It's not something that you would do like once a month or anything like that. You would do it maybe after a year or 2 years. I mean, it's not like it's gonna get super, super dirty. It'll get dusty, obviously, but you can just wipe the dust off. You can use like one of those. I like to use what's that thing? The thing that the Swiffer things. Those Swiffer. They call the Swiffer cloths. And they make the ones for pet hair that are kind of, they grab a lot more dust. That's the one I usually buy. It grabs all the dog hair and the cat hair and the hairs that end up falling different places and getting all over the place. Those are the normal, your hair, human hair. Oh, and if the dust got sticky, I think if you used something light, this piece, since I put a sealer over it, you could probably use something like Pledge or something to dust it. But if it was just a piece that was waxed, I think that the problem would be that if you did that pretty often, it would take the wax off. But if you did, like I said, you could, you probably wouldn't get all of it off anyway. You could re-wax it. And I suggest, like I said, after a few years, that you re-wax it anyway, just to keep it in tip top. Hopefully, this piece of furniture wouldn't sit like in a place, hopefully not in somewhere where it would get that kind of sticky dust on it. But I guess, you know, if you've got it somewhere for a long period of time, it could happen, you know. I never really have that big of a problem with any of the furniture I have in my house that I've redone. I have a TV console, and I just lightly use a feather duster. Or I use that Swiffer cloth. I'm going to do the legs, too. I probably will do the underside of it tomorrow after this part has dried, so I can flip it over and get to the bottom back of the legs, because I want to get the whole piece. I should have actually, instead of doing the waxing part, I should have did the sealer live, because the top of the table with the paint that I used, it's dull before it gets sealed and waxed, and I don't know, it's my favorite part of this whole thing besides painting. When you put on top of the clay wax, the DIY wax, I'm sorry, the DIY paint, when you put the sealer on, it just darkens and deepens the color so dramatically. It's like you brushed magic across it. To me, it seems that way. It just all of a sudden it looks like a different piece. And that's when you know you really, it's like you almost don't know what it's going to look like until you either wax it or seal it. You don't know what the final product's really going to look like. I mean, you get an idea of what it's going to look like, obviously, but the richness and of the color, the pigment in the paint just really comes out when you put the sealer on it and the wax. Now the wax will deepen the color too, but it will lighten up afterwards. So if you're looking for it to stay a little bit more true to the color that you put on there, I think wax is probably the better option than the water-based sealer. But I think it just depends on the person, what you like. Personally, I do both because I really like how the wax feels on the piece. And if I really want to deepen the color, I put the sealer on, which I did on this piece. I really wanted the color to have a deeper color. Thank you. I hope you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't anyway, Melinda, because you're like this. She's a clean fanatic. So I know you wouldn't let any of your furniture get like that. But I could see how it could happen, though, you know. Especially if this piece is close to, I probably wouldn't put it in the kitchen or anything, but it could get that dust where it's sticky and. Yeah. telling you, the bristles in this are... I gotta get a new waxing brush, I think. I think now I've made it just about all the way around. The circumference of this piece. Yep, I have. So I'll lift the camera up and I'll do the top. Let's see, hang on. Bend that down a little bit. Although I'll be standing up now. But it's just a quick process. It's not anything that... Waxing doesn't take a whole lot of time. Look, I'll be done in 2 seconds. I think I don't know. I only put 1 coat of wax on my pieces. I don't know. I think there are people who might put 2. I don't. I don't think it needs it. And you'll want to let this dry overnight, or I'll usually do it at night or in the morning, and then in the afternoon I can buff it. But normally what I'll do is I'll do it the night before. I'll let it sit, and then I'll buff it the next day. And then the next day, it's not going to be tacky or anything, but you'll feel the wax on top. You'll feel it kind of has a little bit of a sticky residue once it's all dry. But once you buff it, and you can buff it with, like if you do own a piece like this and you decide in a few years that you were going to re-wax it, you could put the wax on and then take a cotton cloth. You could probably maybe even use like a cotton sock or something. Not anything that's going to lose fibers. Something that the fibers aren't going to fall all out and all over the place. And you could apply it with that. Let it sit. And then buff it with a cloth. But I do like the using the brush. I don't know. I think it's easier, and it just buffs it to a nice shine. And what I have is, they sell huge ones. I just bought, this is just a buffer. It's almost like, I bet you could use, if you're just using it for that specifically, you could use a shoe buffer that the men buff their shoes with. But anyway, so let me take the camera. Let me lift it up a little bit, and I'm going to tilt it so that you can see, sorry about that, a little better. I'm trying to move so that the light will, I don't know if you can see that, but so do you see some of it, the wax, there's some discoloration. That's going to dry and it's going to lighten up again. And then when I buff it, it's going to look like it did before that I even waxed it. That's what the wax does. It'll discolor and darken it in places, and then it'll lighten back up afterward. Thank you. Probably, right? I would think probably. My dad buffed his shoes every morning before going to work. He'd sit there with the polish and the buffer. And, I'm sure there are people who still do that wear, nice shoes to work. I just use that one that now you like the ones you put over that has the black on it. You just kind of, I forget what it's called. Because when your leather boots get all dry and cracked, I can't think of the name. It's Kiwi. They sell a bottle of this shoe polish, liquidy shoe polish, and you just rub it over, and all of a sudden it magically makes your boots beautiful again. That's what I use, and I keep one at work in my cabinet over my desk. But anyway, that's really it. I finished fairly quickly. And I'll take some pictures and I'll post it when I have a little bit of better light. And thanks for coming on and joining me. Thank you, Melinda. Oh yes, the paint stuff. Yeah, I can't think of the name. I think it's just polish. I think it's just black shoe polish. I don't know. But like I said, it makes your shoes look fantastic afterward. If they're old and they needed to be buffed, it works wonders. Color it's black too, and it just I don't know. It just makes your shoes look fabulous. Thanks for joining me. Take care, everybody. Good night, and I'll see you probably on Sunday if I don't pop on during the week. I'm going to try to pop on during the week and do a few different things. But work was kind of hectic today, so this is what I needed to do. So this is what I came on and did. So take care. Bye.